Hey guys, it's Casey Corbin with Dynamic Fluid Art Coaching, and we have with us Amy. Say hi, Amy.
Hey.
And Amy on a Saturday morning even put on makeup and a nice shirt to be able to join us, right? Which I did the same too. Actually, I just did that really goofy live, an hour ago, just wearing my paint clothes. So I feel like I change clothes all day long anyway. But so, Amy, you specifically reached out to me, excuse me, and you are part of not only a community member, but you're on the accelerated program. So you participate in masterminds with us monthly, and we really love having you. And you
Mhm.
reached out and you said, "Hey, I'm considering going online with my teaching, considering this crisis, right?"
Correct.
Yeah. What kind of help are you looking for? What do you want to do?
Well, the biggest help that I need is just where to begin
Hmm.
because I joined. I went through your marketing, your week marketing a couple weeks
The five
back.
P's.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I have not officially started coaching or having classes or anything like that.
Hmm.
So in all of the quarantine, I've done several live videos, just, giving people something other to look at besides news or COVID-19. Um, Negative and just
I love
depressing
that.
and,
I love that. And
and
I've seen some of your videos and you've done some really great stuff. There's a lot of things that we want to tackle everybody on this. In fact, in a second, I'm going to do a share screen and we're going to do a real abbreviated but specific version of the Slump Time Business Strategies Surviving to Thriving in the COVID-19
Mhm.
Coronavirus Economic Crisis course that I just released this week. So that's not particularly pointed at fluid artists, but it certainly applies because it applies to all businesses. And so I've kind of highlighted the sections that I think we need to hit today as in an abbreviated way as possible. But just as this interactive interview just gives us an opportunity to kind of bounce, back and forth. And so you
Mhm.
interrupt me, Amy, I'll interrupt you. Let's go back and forth. When we do those lives, and I've been doing them too, right? Just feeling like, pity on all these families that have their children at home and driving them crazy, and what the heck can they do? And those lives have a nice informal, pace to them,
Mhm.
pauses, getting your stuff together, leaving the camera, coming back, is fully acceptable. In a Facebook Live, people understand, what they're doing. When we shift over to teaching, we want to have a little bit tighter of a structure. We don't want to have a whole lot of pauses. We want to, if we do have pauses while we're waiting on the paint to do something, or maybe you're one of those people that when you do a flip cup, you like it to sit, for a couple minutes, have something, prepared, or maybe even some notes on a
Mhm.
sticky up on the wall so that you can go, while this is sitting, let me talk to you about additives, and here's all that you can use, for that. And so we want to use this fill time, and that will cause it to be more professional, right? As we
Okay.
do that, we just want to upgrade a little bit if we're going to teach online and get paid for it.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Yeah, because in one of the live videos that I did, I had two people. They were like, "Oh, you should do online classes," and I was like, "Well, I'm working my way to get to teaching classes." So that's when it was like, and I had somebody say, "Oh, well, I told you I wanted to learn how to do this," and I'm like, "No, I don't recall you telling me you wanted to learn how to do it."
I told you.
you know so yeah, it's just to, I guess, like how I need to go about really like structure and how
Yeah.
to, I guess, get them to sign up, maybe if there's like a program I need to use specifically for teaching, or just you know
I yeah, I would not. I would start off very inexpensively. And I see
Mhm.
Kathy is on here. Hey, Kathy. And Kathy
Hey,
can
Kathy.
speak into her experience, and has several times about that. And maybe we'll do another live soon where
Mhm.
Kathy, if she's willing to share kind of the details about how because she's been doing this for over a year. and so she's just ahead of the game with all of us, kind of catching up, which I think is, a lot of what's going to happen within this crisis is a lot of businesses are going to have to catch up. You're going to have to, they've just out of laziness or they've just always done things that way before. There's more efficient ways to deliver our products and services, and I'm talking about all business now. So I think that that's going to be one of those things 5 years from now that we look back and we go, this was changed and this was improved because of the crisis. There's a ton of bad things going on. I'm not, trying to be all Pollyanna, about it, and I'm very sympathetic towards people that are suffering in that way. But my heart, and I sense your heart too, Amy, is I want to be part of the solution for folks. So we want to be able to offer and get paid for it. We should, right? And I read an article this morning by Tony Robbins. I actually produced it, and he said it was all about, should I be selling during this time? Should I be asking people to pay me? I feel icky, about that. And he had several points, of course, to counter that. No. One is that you're worthy of your hire. You need to be paid and compensated for that. And two is that, and probably the major point for us right now is people are invested in what they invest in, right? They value it more when they've got a little skin in the game and they pay, for it. And it's actually a service to them that we allow them to pay us for that, right? And so it really is, I'm all for charity work too, but that's kind of a different scope. When somebody can't afford it, they need to be paying it, right? It serves a function there. Anything else you have before we go over to the share screen?
No, I can't think of anything right off.
All right, very good. Well, let me share some things with you guys. This is my long notes for the program that I just created. And so I'm just going to highlight it for, our purposes here. Okay. And so one thing I want to point out is really there's only two types of businesses that are thriving right now in the recovery of the coronavirus. One is those that planned ahead for such a crisis as this, and we might call Kathy, one of those, since she already had everything in place. And then those that can quickly pivot. And so if we have been teaching, in person, now we can pivot, teach online, create courses, create other products and services that support our fluid art business. So that's kind of the question of which one, are you? And so just keep in mind that whether or not you've realized it or not, you are an entrepreneur. And so you are a business owner, and entrepreneurs solve problems. That's what we do functionally. We provide solutions for our customers. And what kind of solutions do they need right now? Well, look at the current need, and that should be screaming at you right now. And I love seeing, this is just a couple, but breweries are now not making liquor and and beer. They're stopping that and making hand sanitizer, right? Car manufacturers are making respirators, right? So these, that's a major retooling, and so that's just kind of interesting, kind of the world that we live in right now. So these major players are pivoting. We need to pivot too. It really starts with internals before your externals. We got to keep in mind that our attitude is a mirror of our internal state. And so we need to be very careful about changing our emotional disposition towards this problem. And so, Amy, I love what you said a little while ago, is I don't want to be part of the doom and gloom, and all the heavy, stuff about, what's going on right now. But instead, what I want to do is offer a solution, and I really love your heart on that. So first is an internal check, and then we work on the external, such as what we can practically do to offer help for people. So I've created the 10 strategies for surviving economic slump. Those of you that have been around in the membership program for a while, you're going to recognize some of this because I did it in November as the coaching call as 10 ways to prepare for the holiday slump in our business. And so it's been edited quite a bit, but some of it will seem familiar to you. And so this is the chunk of the real practical, what we can do. And this is kind of speaking, of course, to all businesses. Is start overcoming your business's seasonality, implement some of these strategies, and I'm calling it go to distance. And so, as a counselor, we call that distance therapy. In education, we call that distance learning. And so, with the social distancing right now, the tagline that I'm just kind of saying is go to distance. And I'm asking and working with consulting local businesses here on how they can go to distance services. Amy, did you catch the interview that we did with Zinnia this week?
No, I haven't had a chance to go back and watch that, so I will.
Yeah, watch that one. I think it was, supposed to be like 15 or 30 minutes, but I think it went a little over 40. But because it was so interesting, she's such a sweetheart too, and she's got so many
Mhm.
things that she's doing right that it was just great to be able to see as a great example, like you have too. She just needed a little bit of a nudge to go ahead and get doing some online
Mhm.
classes as well. So be thinking about how we can deliver our physical products in, maybe delivery or maybe mail, and so
Mhm.
some ideas might be as to making art kits and sending those out or making them where they
Mhm.
can pick them up. My sister-in-law, Autumn Orozco, has a Little Leaf Art Studio, and she mainly works with children. And so what
Mhm.
she's done is she has a professional art studio, that's in a, brick and mortar building, and she sells these kits, and these people can come out and pick them up at her studio. She actually sets them
Mhm.
outside for them to pick up, and then can do some online teaching with those kids. And so she's also done a really smart thing for marketing, which is
Mhm.
one of our 10 strategies, is she made up a bunch of art kits for free and just set them outside, advertised, hey, I've got 40 of these art kits ready, they're in paper bags. And that was such a smart idea to me because you got these families sitting at home looking for an excuse to get out in a safe way and say,
Mhm.
hey, kids, load up the car. We're going to go to Little Leaf Art Studio and pick up a free art kit for you. Yay.
Mhm.
And there was no risk involved, with that. So we'll talk about how we have to stay within the current limitations of whatever state that you're in. And, like
Mhm.
here in Georgia, the governor, said Thursday in his announcement that we now have a stay in place order, and so as effective starting today. So that might affect what you're able to do and how you're able to do it. So, I
Mhm.
do recommend that you stay up to date, on that. Before we had like a limit of 10 people or 6 feet apart. So you just got to be mindful about those things.
Mhm.
Then, of course, going to digital delivery of information such as courses and memberships, what you're currently doing now, can you move it to a digital product, which will be the focus of our conversation here today? Can you even go to a subscription model? And that's what Kathy
Mhm.
does. So they pay I think it's around $16 a month. And she said it's $135 a year, and she gets that up front. So people pay the whole year. She doesn't mess with, monthly collections, if I'm
Mhm.
understanding things correctly. Right? So Kathy, you can speak into that in the chat. Um, and so that's a real simple subscription model. Before I moved this membership over to my Podia platform, we just had it on 22 Social, being a pay gate. You don't even really need that, right?
Mhm.
Kathy's never used that. Just collect money. You're probably not going to have hundreds of thousands of people in it. It's not going to be complicated to keep up with. All right. So here's the 10 strategies, just as a snapshot. One is you can diversify, and we'll talk about all these in detail. Downsize. 3 is switch to essentials. 4 is establish partnerships. 5 is take a needed break. And 6 is know your cash flow. 7 is decrease expenses. 8 is promote your business. 9 is improve your business. And number 10 is how to get some cash now. So again, Amy, you interrupt me anytime we hit something that might be of interest to you or that you want to kind of speak into. Okay, that'll make this a lot more interesting. And meat is rattling off here. Okay,
Mhm.
diversify very simply is, if you for our purposes here, is if you're teaching classes in person, is how can you do that online? All right.
Mhm.
I'd even go so further to go outside of our current scope of this group, which is teaching fluid art, is do you have other things that you would like to teach to or that you have an expertise in, right?
Mhm.
Now's the time. Everybody is online. Great platforms like Skillshare, which I do Skillshare
Mhm.
as a front uh, kind of a front offering for a lighter or inexpensive courses that get people, because I use their network to get people over to my Podia platform, which is caseycocorbin.com, and they can then buy more expensive courses there. So that's just, you don't make a lot of money on Skillshare unless you've worked a long time to raise a big following, right? Where you get a decent check. So, but diversify, that way. Number 2 is downsize your capacity. So again, this is where we've got to be careful about, what is the regulations right now. Keep in mind that we probably we had these lighter regulations going into this mess. We'll probably
Mhm.
have a curve coming back down again. who knows, so we might be into stay in place orders, and then later as things get better, they might say, okay, you can, meet, but only do that with limited numbers, and churches of certain sizes can gather, that kind of stuff. And so you're going to have to be aware of those regulations and of course stay in them. All right. Switch to essentials. Now, I do want to say that we need to probably rethink, we need to be ahead of the game before our government has actually thought about this, but I'd like to redefine essentials, because if we have bored, disengaged people that don't have any connection to other people, how long is that going to last? And they're going to obey the social distances and distancing and the shelter in place orders,
Right.
right? So we're going to rethink, and I think that art is going to become essential, and hobbies and interests that people have is going to become essential, because if these people get bored, right, then they're not going to obey the orders, and that's going to jeopardize us all. And
Mhm.
so, really offering some things that keep people's interest, keep them at home, keep them, looking forward to that. Hey, this Wednesday I've got this class with Amy. Can really help for mental health as we're in this amazing time, and also just really kind of be part of the overall solution, right? So be thinking about how you can engage other people and what you can do online. Like Amy's done and like I've done, you might start off by just offering some free Facebook. You're seeing lots of your friends do it. You do it too. And
Mhm.
if the first thing that comes to mind for you is, oh, that sounds scary to me, then you definitely need to do that. All right, you need to get over
Mhm.
that fear and challenge yourself. Get outside of that comfort zone. Hey, Melissa Smith, how you doing? All right. Uh, this was a meme that I just thought was hysterical. It popped up today. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Of self-actualization, and then the bigger, baser need that we have here. Food, water, shelter, Wi-Fi. Now because now it's become the foundation for our basic human needs right now, I think. But all right, number 4 out of the 10 is establish partnerships. Let me speak into that a little bit. I did talk about this in the interview with Xenia, is that I just reached out to one of the art centers that I routinely teach at, to the education director there, and I said, look, you guys normally offer a lot of classes, and lots of kinds of stuff. I do a lot of stuff online, so I'll be happy to assist you in any of your teachers that want to move to online instruction. I'll be happy to help. Well, she said, oh, that's great. She contacted me and she said, our executive director wants to meet with you too. Can we do a conference call? So we did that, I believe, on Thursday. And I was just kind of talking to her, like, what kind of platforms do you use? The same kind of things we're talking about here. And I said to her, I said, look, don't get elaborate with it. Don't build a huge infrastructure. Do what you're already doing. You're already advertising on Eventbrite and collecting on Eventbrite, as your ticketing servicing. You already have the emails and the e-blasts, and your marketing structures in place. Continue to do that. And then when it comes to teaching, just have the teacher form a private group that the people that get enrolled into that group, and do it with Facebook Lives and some pre-recorded videos. No big deal, right? You don't have to get all elaborate with it. And we talked about some of the advantages of doing, Amy, like you and I are doing right now, is that when you do a live like this, it's forgivable. You can kind of stumble on your words and regroup, and you can't do that in like a high polished course. And so
Mhm.
it's a lot easier to be able to move that. So, and it wasn't even my intention, but I walked out with an agreement that next not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, I'm going to start 4 series at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. The first one's going to be free. It's really going to be focusing on families getting together, doing this fluid art with stuff that they already have in their home, and which I've been doing for free anyway. Using all kinds of weird old house paint and other, WD-40 and anything other than my stockpile of nice art supplies, and not doing anything on a canvas. So we're taking that angle with them, and so then if they like that, then they can sign up for the 3 series of the next 3 Wednesdays. And so that's just an idea for structuring it, and I will do it just like the way I described to you. I'll just put it, in a closed Facebook group. What occurred to me after that call is that I have taught at 6 different art centers. So guess what I'm going to be doing this week? I'm going to be contacting those other 5 art centers and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing with Thomasville Center for the Arts. would you like to do it too? And there's something magic that happens whenever you have like a credential, you have somebody's approval. It's like, oh, you're doing it there. Well, we want to do that too. It's like answers all their questions or all their, um, their critical thinking about, no, that wouldn't work. No, it's working. We're doing this. And I can do all 6 art centers in the same group. They can all be paying their separate art centers, and I can be doing one class. So I'm kind of excited about that. All right. So anything, Amy?
Yes.
Any questions or anything like that?
Well, like going back to what you said about like putting kits together and stuff. Like personally, I have my I guess stockpile of stuff for me, to keep my sanity during this time. But and I know I saw your video where you like demonstrated how to take just like regular house paint and either use like a piece of cut cardboard or like a styrofoam plate or something like that. So I've thought about doing a video similar
Yes.
to yours, just to kind of show people and give them an idea. So, I mean, would that be like maybe an angle to approach
Absolutely.
people? Like maybe just, well, I mean, it'd be a matter of them having to go and like order online because we have a stay-at-home place order right now.
As well. Mm-hmm.
So our stores do limit the amount of people in, and I think I read Hobby Lobby is closing its doors for the time being.
Yeah, my son works at Hobby Lobby, and they are closed today, as of today, at least locally. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the only other thought. If somebody wanted to do like a more in-depth class, just give them like maybe a list. Hey, go to Michael's and purchase X, Y, and Z sort of materials. Or if you have, house paints and stuff like that. But I don't know what the shipping time frame is.
Right. It's delayed. And so we got to keep that in mind, right now. I don't know. Has anybody heard if Michael's is still offering their curbside, because they responded quicker to the situation, and I think more responsibly, I believe that they have not allowed anybody to come into the store. They just have done curbside pickup, which is pretty
well, was it? It may have been earlier this week when I did my last run, and after seeing Hobby Lobby closed, I nearly had heart failure last night.
She's gonna withdraw, folks. She's gonna get DTs.
Yes. So my husband, he was happy, but for me,
we're gonna save so much money.
Yeah. But I did try to go in. They did have, their sign up that said we are open, but limiting the number of people. But of course, when I went, they were having some electronic issues. So they went ahead and closed doors. But I keep getting emails that say that they're still doing curbside. So I was going to try to give them a call today and just verify and make sure of that, since we do have the shelter in place for essentials stores only.
Yeah.
So
that definition is very interesting, though, as far as what's essential and what's not. I don't think anybody can answer that question. They don't know how it's going to play out. So I suspect that this time next week, we're going to be able to still access some of our usual supplies, just in a way that honors social distancing. We'll see. So we'll see how that goes. So who knows? We have never been here before as a society, right? As a history, this generation anyway, as a planet, we've faced much worse things, right? There's worse things that we faced. But as far as where we are now and with technology and how dependent we are on it, and accessibility and stuff, we've never been here before. So this is interesting. It's an interesting time, to be sure.
Yeah, but kind of going to this to the number 5 topic here,
Mm-hmm.
in all of this, it just, because as a society, I mean, we're so busy, and you hear people all the time, oh, well, if I had time to do this, oh, well, if I had time to do that. And, we don't have kids, but pretty much the majority of our friends and family, they do have kids. But, I just wonder how much time, since they have so much time on their hands now, is really putting the effort into connecting with their children and, doing things with them and teaching life skills
And
or,
we can help them with that, right?
right.
And it's the same way like I would teach a class differently than you would teach a class, and it should be that way, right?
Hmm.
And so somebody could take both of our classes and get different things out of it, not just the art form or our process or technique, but also the little things that just make up our personality, right?
Hmm.
I would be talking about, frankly, mental health issues,
Right.
and stress and depression and isolation and, anxiety about, what's going on in the world today. I'd be slipping that in, maybe not using those words, and since, you just said that, you might be talking about, this is a great way to connect with your children, while you're
Hmm.
doing this, ask them questions about, blah, 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 whatever, and it's just so neat that we can all have a different gift. We all have a different way that we can help other people. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's really cool. Great. We'll jump in anytime. Yeah, take a break is the next one. So, this is a real good time for downtime. I am like so much busier than I was before the COVID thing. I have a lot of opportunities right now, and I'm excited about that. But I am literally working a lot. I am the furthest thing away from taking a break right now. But I see other people, and part of that is supporting other people's breaks. And so
Hmm.
we've had more time with family. That's going to shift, of course, but. Number 6 is use this downtime to understand your business better. For the 6, 7, and 8 are the most non-sexiest suggestions that I have for you. It's the work, of just running your business. And so basically analyzing your cash flow, understanding it so that not only so that we can survive this slump season, but also future slump seasons in the future. And this is where things are going to get familiar to people that have seen this before. Here's one of my favorites. I love peas for some reason. I'm really drawn to peas. Prior planning prevents poor performance. So, and here's that clock that we want to represent our the 12 months in a year. And
Hmm.
then as we, just do some, maybe if you've been in business, then, do your actual cash flow history. If not, then project what it'll look like, maybe on a scale. I don't know if you guys can see that real clearly, but this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And now this clock becomes a wheel, and after we do those spokes, as far as our income being a lot, our income being a little, then we connect the dots, and it can create a flat on our tire. All right, so we can see this is typical for me anyway. Is that we go into holiday season, I don't have a whole lot of people attending my classes, and then we get around to tax return time, and it starts picking up again. So I have this flat area that I need to prepare for. I can be busy as heck, in October, but I need to be thinking about what can I do during this time, and I have some suggestions for us as far as what we can do. Number 7 is equally unexciting, is decreasing our expenses, is looking at ways that we can reduce our costs. And maybe right now, if you've got a lot of time on your hands and you're like, Casey, I always thought about becoming sponsored, applying, but I just hadn't had the time. Well, now is a real good time to go view that video about how to become sponsored and start applying to deco art and to other paint companies and saying this is what I do and how to do it. So watch that video on how to do that. Now people, you might have, you as the listener of this might have some time to be able to get sponsored, right? So I know that a lot of people say I just don't have time to do that, Casey, right? And I'm like, I am literally saving thousands and thousands of dollars every year. That's just profit right into my pocket. So it is worth it to take a little time right now to prepare. That can pay off later. Good. Number 8 is using your downtime to promote your business. So we talk a lot about marketing. There's 2 different marketing section units here in this group. One is for Facebook specific, and the other one is on general marketing. But this would be a great time to start creating your marketing plans for now and later. Now you could do some contests or some limited time promotions. Develop a refer a friend program so that I for a while I did a come come to 3 and it's free. So, people come to 3 of my classes, their fourth one was free. You know, refer friends can be similar. If you have maybe even the same numbers, right? If you have 3 of your friends come and they respond, you can even set up an affiliate number for them to click on, if you have that kind of software in place. And then once they have 3 friends coming with them to your class in person later or online now, then theirs is free. And that can be exciting for people. That can almost turn into a little, competition or contest, within themselves.
Casey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going to this one here, because this is one that did kind of cross my mind
Yeah.
the other day, was like to build up, say, our business pages, or because that's all that I have right now is just my business page.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've done it in the past. Like I gave away a bracelet when I was doing jewelry. So share, the post, it puts your name into a drawing. So I had the thought the other day of kind of doing the same thing, of like a contest to get more people to like and share my page, because Facebook, they've changed all their algorithms, so it's kind of hard for business pages to get in people's news feeds unless they're really interacting.
That's
Um,
true.
but I thought about doing like kind of the same thing, like share and win, like maybe one of the smaller art pieces that I've done, to try and garner that. What's your thoughts on doing things like that?
Yeah, there's one is that Facebook will gig you for doing that. You're not allowed to tie in prizes for likes and shares.
Okay.
However, it's there's an awful lot of rules that Facebook has that comes and goes, and
Mhm.
so to be honest with you, forgiveness is either easier than permission on on some of those things. I've talked to some people. They were, I follow a lot of big gurus that have a million people on their page, like literally, and so they're aware that they're high profile. So if they did something like that, Facebook might, jump after them. Us little guys probably are never going to see that as an issue. And it also, we might want to, word it loosely, or something. I know a lot of people that did build their participation on their group and build up their group by using strategies like that. Just have that in the back of your mind that, I want to be careful, about the way that I do that. You probably are not going to get into any kind of trouble, unless they can find a way to their algorithm to monitor that for them. Um, anyway, but yeah. So anything right now that you can be doing to develop your page, to get people on it, to develop a following, please keep in mind that we do not want to be dependent on any platform. We just talked about the moodiness of Facebook, and I've gone through several of its mood swings. There was a time where you posted something and all your everybody who followed you saw it. Those days are over. Uh,
Right.
then there was a time that they were really focused on Facebook business pages, right? Then they shifted over to groups. Now it's more, the more lives that you can do and your stories, right? And so the algorithm is giving that priority. So more people just do some experimentation. You know how you can do a post and set it to your Facebook profile, or you could all, just to be in your news feed, or you can set it over to go into your story and see how much more engagement that you have in your story. And so you can see this play out in front of you.
Mhm.
Uh, so, now is a really good time to do what I call batching, which is, you can schedule your social media posts and your emails way ahead of time, months ahead of time, right? You can start working on your Christmas marketing now, right? And set it up so that it automatically posts, on that date and at that time. And now would be a really good time to, if you have the downtime, to work on those things, start working on that. Okay. Um, and marketing means staying in contact with your customers. And so I know the people here on this group, and I know that you guys are very caring people just naturally. And so might want to reach out to your folks and just say, how are you doing? Really, is there anything I can do to help you? What would be a blessing to you right now? What do you need? And then you might even be able to structure an offering, of a course or something like that around what you get, the feedback that you get. So It also just earns you goodwill, whenever you reach out in a friendly way like that. There might be some other forms of marketing that you have thought, oh yeah, I need to start a podcast, I need to do a blog, but you know that there's this learning curve for technology that you didn't that you're just like, I can't do it right now. Well, for some people, maybe you have time, to do that. So, Amy, are you working next week, or is the stay in place order keep preventing you from doing that?
Well, actually, I've been working from home for the past 2 weeks.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I remember that now. Good, good. Okay. So you're probably just as busy at home as you were at work.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday and Sunday is really my only downtime.
Okay.
Not do anything. So during the week, I'm still working regular hours. In the past, before all of the quarantine come into place, I was very good at focusing if I had to work from home. But now it's like, since all of this, it's been extremely difficult.
Well, the
To
world has changed. It really substantially has. So yeah, that's going to be distracting.
No.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of the fires that you put off at work are because of what's going on in the world today. It's
Uh,
affecting.
well, because I'm a financial analyst, so this week was pretty busy. First end of the month, first of the month, so it's our closeout period. So it's really busy right now. But the managers and the supervisors really, I guess, have more fires to put out than we do necessarily. So we just kind of make sure we're still fitting where we need to spend wise. But, it's like having that business mindset and seeing all of the businesses that have closed and all of the people who have been let go. I don't know. I just
Oh yeah.
wonder how we come back from this. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think it goes to what you said earlier, though. We just have to learn to adapt.
We are
So,
going to have to adapt. The best predictions that I've seen is after things go back to normal and we can go back to work and no more, shelter in place orders, it's a minimum of 18 months before our economy can rebound
mhm,
from there. And I've seen that, from several different sources. And I believe it, So, but let me just say something. And I want it to be positive. I also don't want it to be insensitive because again, there's people that are suffering because of this. But listen, when people make the most money is when the direction of the money flows differently, whenever there's a
mhm,
shift in the economy. So what we have to do is just make sure that we are positioned to be in that shift so that money is flowing towards us, not away from us.
mhm,
And I know you're thinking right now, if you're listening to me, you're probably thinking, oh, I can't even go outside and teach a group right now. It's moving away from me. Yes, but where are people at now, right?
mhm,
Well, what are they doing now? And the answer to that is very obviously that they're online. They have consumed about as much YouTube videos and Netflix and social media, being on it, 24/7 as they're going to now that we are 2 and 3 weeks into this thing. And so very soon that's going to not hold their attention and they're going to be looking for something else. Are you positioned to be able to reach some of those? And I'm not talking about 100%. A fraction of 1% would keep you, more busier than you know what to do with. And
mhm,
so you just need to position yourself to be able to catch some of that. And
mhm,
that would be a blessing, not only to you, and to your finances and to what's going on in your life, but also to people because you're providing a big value right now. Again, what I would consider, I'm going to get a T-shirt made saying art is essential.
mhm.
Yeah,
I would agree.
yeah, 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 definitely. If you're like me, it took me so long to wrap my head around how to use MailChimp, or another autoresponder like that. So again, your downtime you could really be used for this purpose.
Okay.
Set up an auto sequence, plan on doing a monthly newsletter, stay in contact with your folks. Number 9 is improve your services. All right. So if you're like me, I collect a questionnaire survey from every student who takes my class, and I have I've even have a section on the bottom that kind of leads into what I do as a counselor. Would you like information on this, this, or this? I have audio programs for mind-based mood management and stuff, and people check them. And there's many, many of them that I have not followed up with just due to lack of time. So maybe for you, you can dig out those old questionnaires or surveys, or if you did it online, like in a Google form, is a time to go and review those, maybe from months and months ago, and approach them and say, hey, I'm sorry I missed this earlier. I see that you were interested in this. I just wanted to make you aware of that. Here's how I can help you with that, whatever. But it's a great way, even if you haven't asked for them to buy into additional products or services that you offer. It's a great opportunity to reconnect with them and say, hey, Jan, I was looking at the survey that you filled out, for me in the class that you attended in September, and you had some nice things to say, and then you had this this thing here where you said this was unclear, and I just want to talk to you about that. Can you remember and tell me a little bit, how could this be better, right? And just have a friendly conversation with people. Big chance they're sitting at home bored anyway. Now's a good time. And then don't be surprised if that doesn't turn into them engaging in your business more, right? So you're doing this to get more information to improve for the future, but don't be surprised whenever they're like, well, what are you doing now? And how, getting engaged with them. Here's some example questions that you could ask either by, emailing them, calling them, whatever means of contact. Did we meet your expectations? And how likely are you to repeat your business with us? What would have made your experience better? And what products and services do you wish that we carried? And is there any features missing from our current services or what we offer? All right. Number 10, which is the last one, and then we'll buzz over to Amy's Facebook page and give a few quick notes on that, and then we'll end this thing. It's entitled Get Cash Now, and you can do that by offering, there's 4 different ways that you can pre-sell a product. And so if you can't really deliver on your classes now because of the where we're at right now with stay-in-place orders and social distancing, then you can pre-sell for future classes, and we can do that and motivate people to go ahead and purchase now. One of them is to offer a retainer or subscriptions or membership programs, and again, a very simple way that like Kathy is doing that with her $135 a year. I think that's too cheap. I think it should double, triple that those prices, but for that's what Kathy wants to do, and that's great for her. But start offering services now and pre-sell for, like Kathy sells for the whole year in advance. They have to pay for the year up front, which is really, really smart. And look, we do this all the time. If you have if you got a lawn guy, you're probably paying them the same amount, all year round, even though, during the summer, they're doing a lot more than they are during the winter. Car washes, for a long time, I paid, to be in a car wash thing so I could go through the car wash as many times as I wanted to every month. And even Burger King right now has has a coffee plan, a monthly coffee plan. All the coffee you can drink, I think it's like $5 or something,
I haven't heard that.
Isn't that interesting? So the world is shifting over to the subscription membership model. Yeah, you too, can do that too. You don't have to be Coca-Cola or Burger King or a big thing to be able to do that. Number 2 is pre-sell packages of your products or services and bundles, or maybe like a series of classes is a smart way to do that. So if you, Vanessa and I were talking about that, she has some projects that she's really itching to do with her students, but they need to be done in 2 or more parts. So we paint it, and then we do the, a week later come back and do this, to it. And so that would be a great opportunity for a series of classes. Number 3 is to do a pre-launch of a future product or service. And so the idea there, maybe you've heard these terms before, is to open cart for a limited time, build up some marketing, build up, use scarcity and immediacy. Kickstarter is real big for this. It's Kickstarter, sounds like it's a charitable thing, but really it's just a way of pre-selling products that do not exist yet, right? You probably remember me sharing this before. And I've interviewed Matt Tommy. The interview is available for you to be able to see, and he's one of my mentors. And the coolest thing he does with his is that he sells out of his entire year of workshops in an hour. And so he has them all set up. And so when he announces that enrollment is open, that's that open cart, It sells out in less than an hour, and then that's it. He's done. He doesn't do anything more for the rest of the year, and he does this very strategically, even though he markets it all year, right? And so, particularly those people that missed out, he gets their stories and he makes sure that those goes out to that specific email group that he has as a segmented list, for people that want to learn how to weave baskets the way that he does his basket weaving, right? And so that's a finite group of people, and so he targets them. He's in contact with them throughout the year. He shares the story of Melissa, who really, really wanted to come, but unfortunately she responded too quickly, too late, and so all the classes were filled up. Well, what does that do in the mind of the person, right? He says, "Here's when I'm going to open up cart. It's going to be the day after Thanksgiving at noon," and bam, those people are there, on their computer, ready to pounce. So that's a extreme example, of a very successful way of pre-selling. The fourth one is gift certificates. You may not have thought about it this way, but when you buy a gift card somewhere to give to somebody else, that is a form of pre-selling. That merchant now has your money way before you have their stuff. And so right now is a great time to be able to, for us to get money to later be able to deliver a product or services to people. And you can incentivate that. You can offer some, buy one, get one free stuff, like, buy a $50 gift certificate for your friend and you get a $25 one for you free. And so that can be a way for people to take the risk now of buying now in order to get the reward later of being able to get more than that. I do have a suggestion that if you have like a tiered marketing structure, which an early video that I did over a year ago talked about a 3-tiered marketing approach for your classes. And so if you haven't seen that, please review that. It's a really good one. Almost everywhere you go has a good, better, best tiered marketing approach. I mean, your plumber comes to your house and looks at the toilet and then says, "Okay, we could do this, this, or this." They're structuring things in a good, better, best approach. In doing so, we're always aiming at the better. We want people to go to the better, right? And the best is frequently what's called decoy. It's usually higher and free. Some people will take advantage of that, but most people will not. Most people settle. You want small, medium, or large French fries or coffee at Starbucks. Most people are going to pick the medium. It's mostly due out of laziness and indecision on their part. They're like, "Well, I don't want too small and I don't want too large." So where the better is the target, for that pricing structure right there. What I recommend that you do though is that you make your gift certificate for your good, right? So that the lower tiered one. So now these people are giving, this, access to your upcoming course or, online course or online teaching or in the future in-person classes. And then if the person who received it wants to upgrade, they can throw in their, extra money to upgrade, and they actually feel pretty good about it because they feel like they're getting a $75 class for $15 if that's all they had to upgrade it for. So that's a way of doing the pre-sales. I think that's about all I wanted to say on here. So let me end this, and then we'll pop over to your group, to your page. So while I'm doing this, Amy, you got anything you'd like to say?
Well, I don't know. My biggest thing that I would like to do, of course, is to offer the online classes. That way, like I said, a lot of my friends, it's uncertainty and just stress right now. And so, there are some that are independent or sole proprietors, considered independent contracts. There's a lot of uncertainty for them. And I think it kind of goes back to, do I really need to try to sell,
Right.
make money during this time? So, that's kind of one offset to trying to get started.
Remember, our definition of entrepreneur is that we solve problems, right? And so it doesn't, and that happens 100% of the time. You're hungry, you're driving by McDonald's. I don't recommend this because they're gross, but you're like, I'm hungry. Drive through the drive-through, get some fries. That they just solved a problem for you, right? When you break it down that way. right now we have an opportunity to solve some much more legit problems than French fries, right?
Mhm.
So be rethinking the way that we think about this. And again, I really think I'm going to make a T-shirt that says "Art is essential," and wear it with pride. That will help us get over that, those things like imposter syndrome and, insecurity and, what will approval addiction, like what will people think about me if I'm selling at a time like this? Well,
Right.
mostly our attitude carries that message. And so if we sheepishly say, buy this, or if we go, hey, I have got a solution for you, right? And I'm offering it at a special deal that's very affordable for you to be able, for you and your family to be able to participate in, right?
Mhm.
Which is one of the benefits, by the way, of online teaching, is that you can, let's say you charge $45 for your class. Well, it kind of doesn't matter if there's one person on the other end of that or if there's a family of four on the other end of that, right? So maybe that's one of the advantages to you is that hey, we're gonna pipe this class into your house, through our Facebook group. If there's one person participating, if you got your kids there, participating too, it's
Mhm.
just $45. It's just this amount, whatever you choose to do.
Okay.
So we have to, yeah, we have to be careful, about that in our attitude. All right. So I'm on. This is actually your personal page here, correct?
Yes, that's my personal page.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Usually people have their picture here, right? That's neat too. I like that. But
Mhm.
for purposes of, let's see if we got a hover. When you hover over, okay, hover over your name, all right,
Mhm.
it pops this up. Now this goes everywhere that you go. So if you're wherever you're commenting, on anything on any page, we want people to be able to know and identify with you. So I generally recommend that you do have a picture of you, in the small one. And then your backdrop there, I call it your billboard, the large image, is a great opportunity to talk about your what you offer, right? And who
Mhm.
you are. There's even a place, let's see, you have reflections here, your website. Don't have a link to your page, it doesn't seem. And there's a place on here to do this, and I believe that you do it in your about section on your group. So you can edit that to have a link to your page. All right. So it'll look like both of these here, but it'll be a link to your page. And that's really great for being able to show people what you are, how you do this. As these are
Okay.
both pictures, and so as we click on these, which people will have a tendency to do, let me widen this. Here is where you can have a description just like any other page. And here you'd want to
Mhm.
have a link to your business page. All right.
Okay.
And you just copy and paste that. You can go to my personal page and see mine
Mhm.
and copy that if you like.
Okay.
Um, Zoop, one second. And then the same here for your cover page. Now you don't have to do this.
Mhm.
That's a personal decision that people make as far as how much they want their personal profile to be about business. And I do believe
Mhm.
there is a balance to that. I don't want to abuse my friends with business, business, business all the time. And I
Right.
don't, but at the same time, I want them that if they're like, hey, I really, I want to take advantage of what Casey's offering, I want them to be able
Mhm.
to follow that. So here on your
Okay.
cover image, which is pretty cool, is this would be an opportunity to become more of a billboard if you like,
Mhm.
but then here definitely you want to have links to your personal page.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to pop out of this one, zoop, and go over to your business page now. And that'll be the last thing that we do today, which is Reflections by Hesper. All right. So this is your business page, correct?
Mhm.
All right. All right, so great. So I love you got a good color scheme going on here with
Mhm.
these two. Do you have a logo for your business?
That's what I've been working on through Canva, and
Oh, good.
I really appreciate you listing that because I had never heard of
Isn't
it before.
Canva awesome?
Yeah. Um,
It's so great.
Yeah. So I've been working on that, and I got some feedback from some friends on designs.
Oh, cool.
But then after, because I used a paint image from Canva, and
Hmm.
then it hit me. I'm like, why am I using somebody else's image when I have tons of photos of my own artwork.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
so that's what I've been doing and
So
playing
you
with.
uploaded your own.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good, good, good.
So
Well, great. Well, your logo ideally would be here where these flower petals are, right? I assume that's what that is. And then again, a kind of a bigger, with your talking about your business here. So here's where you want to use Canva to throw in some letters, and some, your business and a little bit about. Make sure that they understand that you are teaching this, because right now, and I think this is actually the way you originally built this page, isn't it? Is to sell your art. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you might want to consider a whole nother page. If you want to continue to sell your art through this page, do another page for teaching, right?
Okay.
And you can link them back and forth together. I really like the fact that you can see the edges of this canvas. One is that makes it look more handmade than, it's obviously that you made this, as opposed to, oh, look, she got a stock photo.
Mm-hmm.
It also is telling people, it kind of alludes to, I made this and you can too, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, and then people might even begin to look and go, wow, what is all this lacy
Mm-hmm.
stuff? How did she do that? It must have taken a long time with a really thin brush. And you can say,
Mm-hmm.
nope, it's chemistry
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, right? So you have that. Let's look here. I'll widen this again. Oops, sorry about that. The next thing we want to look at is your about section. And so we'll click here. So the first three things people see is this and this, right? And then when they're curious about you, they want to go over to your about section and see what kind of details you have. All right. So I like that you've got, this is something that Zenny kind of missed here, is that you have a short place to give like a one paragraph, 3-4 sentences. This is your elevator speech about what you do, right? By offering classes. And again, this is still your more for selling your art, it looks like. And then in the general information, you can have much longer than that, and some resources. So people want to be able to. They used to say that we had 3 seconds to get people's attention, but now the way that now we click faster on the internet. We have about a 1.5 seconds. So some people got to look at your about. They're going to catch 5 or 6 words that pop
Mm-hmm.
out to them, and then it's either going to cause them to reread and look deeper at it, or they're going to click off of it. And so you want to use some very, some words that convey that in a very concise way. And that is rather attention getting. And again, and this might even be worth writing down, is that you don't want to talk about you. You want to talk about what you can do for them.
Okay.
You see the difference with that? It's a
Yeah.
subtle difference. So when you're wording this, and it's sometimes even better to write this in third person, like someone's writing an article about you, but you don't want to talk about yourself. You want to talk about what you can do for them, right? Using yourself and using, that, hey, you have these credentials to be able to do this, you have this experience to be able to do this, you have this passion to be able to do this, you talk about that, but it's all the end goal there is so that that person can see them learning from you, from attending one of your classes. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, great. Let's go back to your page here. All right, and then events. This is the next thing. Oh, and by the way, I see that your action button is send a message, and you've got this set up, and so that's great. And that's something I recommend for everybody to do is to, oh, poop. I do that. I meant to go off of that. Is you have several different options for your action button, and I see that you have send messages to be able to communicate. All right, so here is Amy's um, uh, great calendar for, let's see, what are these things? These aren't necessarily your art related stuff, right?
Well, some of it, like the first one there, the MCAAC,
Mm-hmm.
that was an event that I did. So I had my jewelry on hand,
Oh, okay. All right.
and so it
Yeah.
was like an event. The Russell Cellular Fish and
Yeah.
Slam, that was an event.
Well, I tell you, I
So,
would definitely then, I love how active you are about these things. I would definitely create a separate page for your teaching to be able to
okay.
keep that clear. If no other reason than just you want all of the events that are in your event section for your teaching page
Mhm.
to be what is the opportunity. Again, think in the mind of the person who's viewing this. What's in it for me, or I want to go to her events. Okay, she's convinced me. I want to consider taking a class with her.
Mhm.
Um, and now where can I go take a class? And so you want that to be solely the classes that you are teaching to be in that page. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then I did spend a little bit of time, and you got a beautiful bloom here. That's nice. Um, and some engaging stuff. Again, there's 3 ways that we like to post, and we want to post frequently,
Mhm.
a minimum something friend, and maybe fun share that and ask them to share it. And then you want something that is for the class I got coming up, but you only want that to be about a third.
Mhm.
And then another one is just helpful. Like, those of you that know that you can strain your paint through some pantyhose and save lots of money, whatever. So these types of things,
Mhm.
right? So you have the results of a poll. That's cool. Neat.
Mhm.
All right. Oh, they're
Now,
cute. All right. Well, that's
well,
about it. We should probably wrap up. You got any? But I do want to honor any other questions you might have.
um, oh goodness, what was I just about to say? The Oh, the poll. I noticed, like in previous times before, you could add, say, more than 2 items, but for some reason on my business page, it only brought up 2 lines, and that was it. It wouldn't allow me to add any other options.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to answer that one. I have noticed actually recently that I tried to set up a poll on my business page and I was
Mhm.
unsuccessful in finding the setting to be able to do that. So I
Okay,
had to do it on my personal page and try to link it back to my business page.
I gotcha.
But
Okay, and
yeah, Gina Parrish and I were Gina Parrish and I were, who's a member here, we're trying to create find it because she's also a life coach that we're going to work on a joint venture partnership,
mhm.
and we wanted to do a poll that way. And I was like, "Where's the settings for this?" So
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't know. And I don't know if it's just me or that Facebook changes everything all the time.
yeah. Well, because I know I had saw you had done one recently and it had more than 2, and so that's why I asked. I didn't know if maybe it was something that I just
That was on a
overlooked.
group,
Okay,
yeah.
and that's
And by the way,
probably why.
yeah, and so by the way, I know you don't have a group yet. So whenever you do your separate Facebook page for your
Mhm.
teaching business, then link a group to that. And that
Okay.
can be for your alumni, or for people that have participated, right? And then that's where conversations can happen. Pages aren't really set up for that, where people can post on it, and then that's a great place to do a poll,
Okay.
right? And so you can poll your members there, and then just get just ask your friends, come join this group, because it does unlock after you get past the 100 on a page. It will give you insights, into that you can't get until you do that with Facebook. And so you can, which is great because you can use that as an excuse to bolster your numbers, to tell people I need, I I need 23 more people. Will you be one of them?
Okay.
Melissa says business pages won't let me pin posts or post combos of pics and videos on the same post.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So remember, basically for our purposes, Facebook, until you get into paid advertising, all right, that's a different thing. What we
Mhm.
have is we have personal profiles that owns a business page, and a business page can own a group, right?
Okay.
And so it's kind of that. You each one is structured. They look very similar when you're on one. Sometimes it's real hard to tell, am I on a group, or am I on a page, or am I on a profile?
Mhm.
But they do have different functionality, and then Facebook changes them, so just to keep us hopping. Yeah, very good, very good. All right. Well, anything else today, Amy?
Um, okay, so to make another Facebook page for teaching classes, so should in doing that, should I go ahead and create the group a group now, or should I just try to do strictly the teaching class Facebook page, and then create a
Here's what
group after some people go through like maybe one class?
Here's the way that I would do it. But it's really just a preference, right? Is so create your specific, underneath your profiles, do your business page for teaching. Underneath
Mhm.
that, create two groups at the same time. One of it is going to be a closed private group that you're going to admit
Okay.
people in after they pay. The other
Okay.
one, you can still have it be closed if you want to if you want to ask them questions and
Mhm.
then, let them in. And so, you could try it just being open,
Mhm.
and then if people get too spammy, then you can close it, and moderate it. And, there's settings that you can do because
Okay.
people are jerks. uh, but you could try it for a while with it just being open. It'd be a lot less hassle, on your
Mhm.
part for them to be able to do. I do both. I have over 10 pages and over 10 groups. I don't maintain them all, but I have tons of them
Mhm.
for different purposes and different things that I do. And some of them I have completely open, and some of them I have sewn up real tight. So
Okay.
it's really just a preference. But like today, I would do those three things. I'd create your business page and
Okay.
put two groups underneath it. And then one of them be just for anybody that's interested to follow along. That's where you can start doing things like the polls, and you can say, hey,
Okay.
this next Saturday I teach a class. Would you rather learn swiping or flip cups, or whatever it might be, and start getting that type of insight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Uh, Okay, great. Well, Amy, thanks so much for being in the hot seat and being the guinea pig for experimentation. I do believe in human experimentation, and you are the human. So, and I'm sure that other people that watch these are really going to benefit too. From one is that you're a smart person. You've got some really good insight. You've done some really great things, and then also the Q&A that we've had. So, thanks everybody.
Thank
Say bye,
you.
Amy.
Bye.
Bye, guys.